let's talk about Albany. Albany is nicknamed to some as Smallbany because it is a very small city. It has around 100,000 people in it, under half the population of Buffalo. And the reason why Albany doesn't really need to be too large of a city, though, if we're going to be real about it, because Albany is in what's known as the Capital District, and the Capital District is Albany, Schenectady, and Troy, three cities that are kind of combined together. Another reason why Albany's not all that large is because it's outside of many other large cities, and so it doesn't really need to be large. It's pretty much propped up by the state government for the most part. There's not much of an economy going on, especially not where we're going to be walking. So right now I'm walking through Academy Park, and you're going to see the side of the state education building for the Suny system of New York. But anyways, yeah, there's many small cities. So Albany is situated outside of big cities as well. So New York City is about a 2-hour drive from Albany. And Boston is about 3 hours. And Montreal is close as well. I think Montreal's like 4 or 5. And then the reason why people enjoy Albany, let's talk about that. The reason why people enjoy Albany is because it's a great place to enjoy nature. There's a lot of trails in this area, and you're in the Hudson Valley, so you're in between two mountain ranges. You're in between the Adirondack Mountains and the Catskill Mountains. Both are within an hour, close to Lake George, Adirondack State Park, all that good stuff. So the proximity that you get with trails and also other major cities and smaller cities, it's quite nice. You get a lot of diversity in this area in terms of its architecture and the landscape. And now Academy Park is just an area with a bunch of benches where you can sit, and there's also some monuments to the Justice Department and people that have served. Now right behind me you're going to see the street where all the former senators and governors and whatnot lived. It's a very nice homes. We're going to be turning down Eagle Street here. Alright, I'm going to splice this in because I forgot to mention this when I did my initial walkthrough. So when you look at all the former governor and state senators' houses here, you'll see that there's stoops. And stoops is a very New York thing. And the reason why it's a very New York thing is because when the Dutch settled here, this is a Dutch thing. They would have their maids and their servants go below the stoops. As you can see, there's actually doors underneath them. And that's where they would enter, so that there would be a separate entranceway for them. Some of them would even live in there. But for the most part, it was just where they kept their cleaning supplies and where they would enter. And then they would do their job. And we're gonna basically start the tour for real here. Now, what is right next to me is the Justice Building, which was designed in the mid-1800s and completed in the mid-1800s. And it's done in a Roman Revival style. And we're also going to be passing by one of my favorite pieces of architecture. This building is incredible. Wait until you see this. So now we're going up State Street, and behind me is going to be City Hall, Albany City Hall, right? Albany City Hall. This building was it is divine, but it was designed by H.H. Richardson, famous architect. And H.H. Richardson, he's a famous architect. He did this in a Romanesque revival style, and it is absolutely stunning. And in front of it is a monument to Philip Schuyler. He served in the Revolutionary War as a general, and he was also a senator. And so that is definitely my favorite of the, it's hard to actually say, but it's definitely got a personality to it, this Albany City Hall. It was designed in the 1800s and finished. I think that was finished in the mid-1800s, late 1800s as well. I'll also put some white text over the screen to clarify that, because it's funny because I know all these things until I walk around and then I forget them. So anyways, this is Academy Park here, and there's Capitol Park on the other side. We're gonna cross over to the state capitol. It's not really a crosswalk here, so we're just gonna have to maneuver. Now, the state capitol building is what we're gonna roll up on now, and Capitol Park, East Capitol Park to be specific, because there's multiple sides to the Capitol Park. This building costed, at the time it was made, in the late 1800s, it costed $25 million, which today is almost $1 billion to make. And this is rumored to be the most expensive building to upkeep. The most expensive state capitol, I should say. Let me clarify that. And that's part of the reason why the stairs are, as you see, the stairs are blocked off right now. That's partially because of they need to be repaired, and it's going to cost a lot of money. I heard it's going to cost millions just for the stairs. Some more monuments, statues. So the New York State Capitol building was actually designed by 4 architects. And so it was kind of a group project. And it is massive and beautiful. This building was designed in another, it's also a Romanesque revival or Greek revival style. Absolutely stunning. And on the other side of State Street here, we see the Justice Building. Now, the next place we're going to be going to is the Empire State Plaza. So this is a piece of the Empire State Plaza. Which is all designed by one architect. And so once we enter the Empire State Plaza, I will explain all of this. Here, let's just get a shot of me under the Capitol building here. You get a better view of it. I'm gonna get everything in B-roll though, so. We're entering Empire State Plaza right now. As you see, the Justice Building is behind me. And the Legislative Building, right there. Now, the Empire State Plaza consists of the plaza here, as you'll see. Everything is imported stone. It's a plaza built on imported stone. All these facades are imported marble. And the Empire State Plaza was designed by Wallace Harrison. And he was commissioned by Nelson Rockefeller in the 70s to construct it. Now the rumor goes that Wallace Harrison was asked to design this by Nelson Rockefeller because when the Dutch royalty visited in the 60s, they commented on the drab nature of the area here. It was a lot of residential old housing, and I guess Rockefeller got his ego bruised a little bit, and so he decided to have them kind of delete everything and create this, what he considers to be a work of art, you know. This is all modernist, the entire plaza. Like I said, the plaza actually consists of the 4 agency buildings, which you'll see behind me here. 4 agency buildings. The Justice and the Legislative building. All those are marble facades. And then you've got the Egg behind me. The Egg is a performing arts center, big performing arts center. A lot of famous people perform there. And they, of course, on the plaza here, got a nice amount of water. It's just really nice for taking pictures. I don't really see people ever swimming in here. I don't think you're allowed to swim in here, to be honest. A lot of people like to skateboard here and stuff like that. I don't know if you're allowed to skateboard either, but this is New York. People don't really follow the rules, love it or hate it. Now, as you can see behind me, there's state agency buildings. They don't look too impressive during the day, but at night they look pretty cool because they have kind of like this orange underglow to them. So like I said, this was all designed in the 1970s by Wallace Harrison, and it was a controversial project in the end because it tore down a lot of residential housing at the time. But it does look cool. Some people say it looks like an eyesore from far away. I sort of agree, depending on which angle you're looking at it from. But on the ground, it is really awesome. And there's a lot of events, like I said, that happen here during Christmas time. See, the skateboarder right there. Told you, tons of skateboarding. Anyways, there's tons of events that happen here. Like during Christmas time, they had a whole fireworks light show that like went along with the music. It was choreographed and everything, and it was fucking awesome. So that's a cool thing about living in New York, is that you get money for the state, for the taxes you pay. I mean, you get your money's worth. I mean, at least if you know what to do and you get out and you enjoy what the state has to offer, it's quite nice. Actually, I think I'll take a turn down there. So like I said, the Egg behind me, that's actually just exposed concrete. And even though it looks like it has a base on it, it's not actually a base at all. That is entirely hollow, and actually what's holding it in is a spike in the ground, a stabilizing beam, as many of the buildings are here in the plaza. Alright, and now we're going to approach the edge of the plaza where you can kind of see over Albany a little bit. Behind me is Corning Tower. Now this is the tallest building. I wonder if I'll get in B-roll, but it's so tall that I probably wasn't even able to get it when I tilted the camera up there. So Corning Tower, yeah, tallest tower in Albany. Pretty cool. It looks odd though, because Albany doesn't have a lot of tall buildings. So it really sticks out, I'll say that. Okay, let's show you this. So I'll show you why people want to change the highway system here. Because as you can see, the highway system is a little bit, let's say not busy at all, but it takes up so much space. And so there's been plans to rework the highway system reimagine it, but that's going to cost a lot of money. So the likeliness of that happening is rather slim. Plus, during the week, it's a lot busier here. This is one of the areas, because it's the government district, where during the week it tends to be more busy because you see all the people out doing their work. And on the weekend, they go back to their towns that are a little bit farther away to their houses, or some of them even go to the city. But Empire State Plaza is a really cool place to walk around. Here's another thing I forgot to mention, is that there's free parking on the weekends in a lot of the parking lots and parking garages here in Albany, because the city is a little bit empty. And so, them charging you would be a crime. But it's free on the weekends, so if you enjoy architecture, this is the fucking place to be. Especially where I'm walking around. This is where it's kind of like it's kind of where Albany gets to peacock itself. It gets to show off with all the money they put into the architecture here, which I really enjoy. I'm not complaining one bit. So we're under Corning Tower. All the columns here, I think it's a cool design. When you're under it, it looks a lot cooler than when you're just far away. It just looks like a skyscraper. It's hard to see all the details. All right, we've got the MVP Arena behind me. That's another big one, but nothing special. As you can see, it's not a work of art, not even slightly. Now here we're gonna get to my favorite cathedral, and probably, I want to say, definitely my favorite cathedral in this area that I've seen thus far. We are going to be approaching the Cathedral of the Immaculate Conception. Now this cathedral, hold on, I'll wait until I can get right behind it. As you can see here, there's like some art pieces out, all wooden, and I actually think it looks cool. Usually a lot of the modern art stuff I'm not really into, but that looks very, very cool. Alright, so right behind me is the Cathedral of the Immaculate Conception. This was designed in the mid-1800s by Patrick Keeley. He also designed various cathedrals throughout Boston, Manhattan, all these places. This is done in a Gothic revival style. Just probably the most beautiful cathedral I've seen thus far in this area. There's some ones in New York City that are absolutely stunning, but I mean, can you beat that? Anything that's a Gothic revival gets my stamp of approval. I can't get enough of that cathedral. Someday I'll make my way inside. Just gonna check to make sure we're rolling. Still rolling. Wonderful. Awesome. So like I said, Albany is a small city, under 100,000 people. But there's a lot in the area and a lot in New York State. Like I said before, there's not much of a reason for it to be that large, right? Now, as I've said before, the entire plaza is built in a modernist style, but if you look at this side of the plaza, you'll see the New York State Museum and Cultural Center and Library. And this was designed in a brutalist style of architecture. Now, brutalism is something you don't see much of here in the US. Brutalism is basically a post-war era type of architecture. Started in the 1950s in UK, and then it made its way over. Notably, one of the places it's made its way over is here in Albany at the New York State Museum. This is another controversial piece of architecture. I don't know why people don't enjoy it, but my mother hates it, but I love it. I think it looks absolutely awesome. It's just, you don't see much like it. And then of course this is a really good view of just the whole Empire State Plaza here. We'll continue walking down. Like I said, all marble facade. All imported marble facade. Definitely looks cool. Definitely, like I said, once again, this area is definitely propped up by the state government. This is where the state government workers come to do their stuff. A lot of lobbyists come from New York City and take the train out here. There's a good chance if you see a man in a suit going from New York City to Albany, he's probably a lobbyist. It's a good chance. Good chance. But anyways, this was basically built as a monument to the state capitol. And like I previously said, it's very controversial because it tore down a lot of residential housing. Now, the next tour I end up doing in Albany is probably going to be more in the areas of, we'll probably be going down Lark Street and stuff like that. We'll probably be going down where you can see some shops and some stores and some houses. Here it's mostly just the government buildings, but if you want to learn a lot about architecture and history, this is the place to be. So let's talk about the history of Albany for a second. So Albany started as Fort Nassau in 1614. It was a fur trading post set up by the Dutch. 10 years later, it turned into the first permanent Dutch settlement. Oh, by the way, let me backtrack. When it was a fur trading post for the Dutch, they would trade with the Algonquin people of this area, specifically the Mohicans, sorry, pronounced that incorrectly. 10 years later, it turned into a little bit more than just a trade agreement, and the Dutch set down a permanent settlement here, which was Fort Orange. And then, 40 years later, in 1664, the English took over. And so that's just a very brief history of Albany. So it dates back very far to the early 1600s. And you could even see in some areas of the city, you can see buildings from the 1600s. You could see old Dutch settlements. They're some of them are in rough condition at the moment, because they're that old. But the city keeps them around. Another important thing to mention is that every single monument you've seen, or every single building you've seen pretty much that I've described on this tour, they're all on the National Register for Historic Places. That's with a lot of New York State. New York State and New York City has a lot of very rich history. I'm gonna cross over in front of the state capitol building once again, and we're gonna head towards the Alfred E. Smith building and the headquarters for the state education department in New York. So like I said, it's rumored that the state capitol costs the most to upkeep out of all the state capitals in the United States. It's no wonder why. And now I am gonna be heading towards, as you can see behind me, the state education building. Headquarters for the Suny system. Now, it is rumored that this building right here has more columns on it than any other building in the US. So we're setting a lot of records here already, aren't we? Behind me is the legislative building, once again. part of the Wallace Harrison Empire State Plaza project, done in the modernist style. And here we have another side of the state capitol building. And then we have West Capitol Park here that I'm in. This area is very cool. This is a nice area to just chill out, eat a breakfast sandwich in the morning, then go about your day. Now we're going to be approaching the Alfred E. Smith building, which is behind me now. Don't worry, we're going to get another shot of it, and I'm going to get some B-roll of it. The Alfred E. Smith building was designed in the 1920s by two architects, and on the facade of the building they have carved every single county in New York State. I'll put that in the B-roll right now, kind of panning across everything. Now this building, done in the Art Deco style. I'll try to tilt it up, see if you could see the size of it. This was the tallest building in Albany. Now it's the second tallest building. It was the tallest building before the Corning Tower was put in, which we talked about earlier when we were in Empire State Plaza. Art Deco is definitely a cool style. A lot of people also say, this looks a little blocky and boring. I completely disagree. It's got quite a bit of personality to it. All right. As you can see, it's springtime here. You can hear all the birds chirping. Grass is just coming up. Flowers are popping, trees are popping. It's a good place to be.